You thought you were getting better, but somehow you ended up in the same place again, facing the same thoughts, the same emotions, and wondering why nothing really changed. The same thoughts keep coming back and the same heavy emotions return. And even after all your effort, it feels like nothing in your life has actually changed at all. It's incredibly confusing because you still remember the exact moment you decided things would finally be different, and you truly believed this was the end of the struggle. You tried so hard to move forward, and you tried to finally let go, and for a short while, it actually felt like you were making real progress toward the light. But then something invisible pulls you back into the exact same pattern, and suddenly you're standing right back where the cycle first began. And now you're asking yourself the same painful question all over again, searching through the static for an answer that you just can't seem to find yet. Why does this keep happening to me? Why does the shadow always find its way back into the most private and hidden rooms of my life? Why do I always end up back at the starting line, looking at the same landscape, even after I thought I had walked so far away towards something new? It feels like you're trying with everything you have, but you aren't actually moving, like you're running as fast as you can on a floor made of glass. It feels like you're putting in all the effort and doing all the right things, but somehow you aren't getting any results, and the exhaustion is starting to take its toll. And that makes it even more frustrating to bear, knowing how much you truly want to change and how little the world around you seems to actually shift. Because you know deep down you aren't being lazy and you haven't given up on yourself. But the stillness feels like a cage that you didn't even build. You don't feel like you gave up, but you're still waiting for the ground to move and for the heavy air around you to finally clear up so you can breathe. But something deep inside isn't working the way it should, and the quiet silence in your room is starting to feel like a question you simply can't answer. And you just don't understand why you are still here, facing the same loops, and wondering why nothing in your heart has found its way to peace yet. You've had moments where you felt strong enough to finally change, moments where you felt the power to finally walk away and leave it all behind. Moments where you believed this time would be different, and you truly felt like you were finally on the right path toward a better life. You told yourself you wouldn't fall into the same patterns again, making a solemn promise to your heart that you were done with that old place. And for a while, you actually didn't fall back. You stood firm and held your ground against the old waves that used to pull you under. Things actually started to improve in your life, and the sun finally seemed to be coming out from the heavy clouds of your past. You felt more in control of your heart and your mind, and you started to trust the person you were becoming in the quiet of the morning. You felt more aware of the things that used to trip you up, and you felt proud of the distance you had traveled toward the light. You felt more stable and grounded than you had in years, and you truly believed that the storm was finally behind you for good. But slowly and without you even noticing, the old habits started creeping back into the small and hidden corners of your daily routine. The old habits started coming back in the difficult moments, and you found yourself reacting in the same old ways you thought you'd left behind. You found yourself having the same reactions as before, and it felt like you were losing the precious ground you had fought so hard to win. The same triggers began to feel heavy and loud again, pulling on your peace and demanding your full attention in the middle of the night. The same old thoughts started to echo in the quiet moments, whispers of doubt and fear that you thought you had silenced forever. And before you even realized what was happening to you, you were standing right back where you started so many months ago. You were back where you started in your own mind, facing the same giants you thought you had already defeated with your own hands. Not completely and not all at once, but it was enough to make you feel like you had lost your way in the middle of the journey. But it was enough to feel stuck in the loop again and to make you wonder if you'd ever truly move forward into the light. And that is the realization that hurts the absolute most. Knowing the sheer effort it took to get out of that hole the first time. It isn't the struggle itself that causes the pain today, but the crushing feeling of having to fight the same war all over again. But it's the feeling of repeating the same mistakes and the fear that you'll never be able to break the cycle and find real peace. But the truth is, you're not going backwards. Even when the path feels like it's leading you back to where you started. It just feels that way because you are looking at the surface, but underneath, something much more significant is happening. Because healing doesn't move in a simple straight line. It isn't a ladder that you climb and never look down from again. It moves in deep and complex layers, circling back around the same points so you can see them from a higher perspective. And each time something comes back to visit your heart, it is an invitation to finish the work you once started long ago. It's not the same as before, because the person facing the struggle today is much wiser and stronger than the person you were yesterday. It's a deeper part of the root that is coming up now. A layer of the issue that you weren't ready to face until this moment. It is something that wasn't fully understood yet. A part of the lesson that required more maturity and grace to finally grasp. It is something that wasn't fully processed, and your heart is bringing it back so you can finally lay it to rest for good. Your mind doesn't repeat patterns by accident. It isn't a failure of your will, but a function of your soul's desire to be whole. It repeats what still needs your gentle attention and what still requires the touch of healing grace to be completely resolved. It brings back what still needs healing, and it offers you another chance to respond with the wisdom you've gained along the way. It repeats what still feels familiar to you, because even if the struggle hurts, there is a strange kind of safety in the things we know. Because familiar feels safe to the survival part of your brain, even when that familiar thing is the very thing keeping you in pain. Even when it hurts, you gravitate toward the known, until the light of understanding makes it safe enough to choose a different path. So instead of asking why this keeps happening, You need to start asking what it's trying to show you, because every repeated struggle is pointing to something deeper. Because every time the same struggle comes back, it's not repeating randomly. It is following a purposeful path that leads back to the things you still need to face. It's revealing something you haven't fully faced yet, a hidden corner of your life that is finally ready to be brought into the healing light of the sun. Maybe it is a fear you avoided for many years, and the return of the struggle is simply a signal that it is finally safe to stand and look at it head on. Maybe it is a pattern you didn't notice before, a subtle way of thinking that has been directing your steps without you even knowing it was there. Or maybe it's something you thought you had already moved past, but now you are being invited to heal it at an even deeper and more permanent level than before. Growth doesn't erase struggles instantly. It doesn't make the world perfect overnight. It just gives you the quiet strength to stand in the middle of it. It exposes them more clearly so they no longer have the power of being hidden, allowing you to see the exact shape of the chains that have been holding you. So you can finally understand them from a place of peace and recognize the lesson that has been waiting for you in the middle of all the noise. And respond differently this time, making a choice that is rooted in your future and your freedom instead of your history and your old fears. You aren't acting from a place of blind reaction anymore. You are learning to pause and breathe in the small space between the trigger and the truth. But you are acting from a place of conscious awareness. And that small shift in your perspective is where the true power of your life actually lies. That's where real change begins. In the quiet moment where you decide that the old way is no longer the only way you know how to live. Change doesn't happen when the struggle disappears completely, but it happens when the struggle no longer has the power to tell you who you are. But it happens when you stop repeating it the same way, and you choose to walk through the world with a heart that knows it is perfectly safe. That's the shift you have been waiting for. A move toward a life that is no longer dictated by the weight of everything you've carried behind you. You are moving from a place of heavy frustration to a place of deep and honest understanding. And that understanding is going to set you free. You are moving to a place of deep understanding, where you can look at your life and see that every loop was actually a classroom for your soul. You are moving from a place of confusion into a landscape of perfect clarity, where the path ahead finally looks like something you can reach. Moving into absolute clarity, where you are no longer blind to the patterns that used to hold you, and you are finally ready to walk away for good. And this is exactly where you need to be very careful with your heart, because the voice of self-doubt is loudest when you are on the verge of a breakthrough. Because the biggest mistake you can make right now is turning against yourself and judging your journey because you think you should be further ahead. It is judging yourself for being here again and for believing that your return to this struggle means that you haven't made any progress at all. Telling yourself you failed because you are facing the same wall, when in reality, you are just learning a more permanent way to finally climb it. Telling yourself that you should have been past this already, as if growth follows a schedule created by the world instead of the timeline of your soul. Because that internal pressure doesn't actually help you grow. It only creates more tension and more noise in the middle of your quiet journey. It pushes you deeper into the same cycle of shame, and shame is the very thing that keeps the loop moving in your life instead of letting it rest. Real change doesn't come from a place of shame or fear. It doesn't grow in the dark, but in the warm light of absolute acceptance and grace. It comes from a place of deep understanding, where you can finally look at your own heart with the eyes of a friend instead of an enemy. It comes from a place of extreme patience, knowing that the work of a lifetime cannot be finished in a single afternoon of effort. It comes from seeing yourself clearly for the very first time, and from having the courage to be honest about where you are without any judgment. It comes from walking forward without attacking yourself, and from realizing that you are worthy of love even while you are still figuring things out. You're not repeating this because you're weak. You are simply processing a layer of your history that was too heavy to carry before this very moment. You're repeating it because something inside still needs attention, and that part of you is calling out for the healing touch that only grace can provide. And that doesn't make you broken or beyond repair. It just means that your heart is being made whole in a way that takes time and care. It simply makes you human. And being human means having a story that is full of starts and stops and beautiful, messy returns to the center. So let go of the crushing pressure to be perfect today, and just focus on being present in the room you're in with a quiet heart. Let go of the need to be perfect before you can be happy, because perfection is a cage that prevents you from ever experiencing real growth. Let go of the need to move fast toward the finish line, because the fastest way to get where you're going is to walk with a steady heart. Let go of the need to get everything right the first time, and give yourself the permission to learn through the slow and steady process of trying. Because real growth doesn't work the way the world says it does. It isn't a performance for others, but a gradual and private opening of the soul. It takes time for the old ways to fade away completely, and it takes even more time for the new ways to take deep and permanent root in your heart. And it takes a great deal of patience with your own heart to allow the seasons of your journey to change at their own natural pace. And it takes honesty with yourself above all else. The ability to admit when you are struggling without judging the struggle as a failure. And it takes being at peace with yourself in the quiet, knowing that you are safe, that you are loved, and that you are already on your way home. And when you finally stop fighting yourself and your history, something subtle and beautiful starts to change deep inside your spirit. Something significant starts to change within you as you allow the old tensions to simply melt away into the quiet of the morning. It doesn't happen instantly like a lightning strike, but it happens steadily like the slow and certain rising of the morning sun. But it happens steadily and surely, as your heart finds its way back to its natural and healthy rhythm of life and peace. You begin to respond differently to the old pressures, and you find a strength that you didn't even know was being built in the silence. Even if the old feeling comes back to your door, You recognize it for what it is and you choose to stay steady and grounded. You don't react the same way as you used to because you are finally seeing the pattern before it becomes a storm in your life. You don't fall as deep into the pit as you once did, and the darkness doesn't feel quite as absolute as it did the last time. You don't stay as long in the shadows as you once used to, and you find your way back to the light much faster than ever before. And that is what real progress actually looks like. The ability to navigate the old struggles with a much steadier and more peaceful heart. Even if it doesn't feel like progress to you yet, every small and honest choice you make is a victory that is being recorded. Because change is happening deep inside your spirit, in the quiet places where no one else can see the work that is being done. It is happening inside you even now, a quiet and permanent restoration of the person you were always meant to be from the start. It's happening in how you think about yourself and in the way you talk to your own soul in the silence of your room. It's happening in how you respond to the world around you and in the way you maintain your peace when everything else is moving. It's happening in how you understand your own journey and in the new sense of grace you are finally extending to yourself. And that is real and lasting growth, a quiet and steady movement toward the light that has been waiting for you all along. It isn't dramatic and it isn't loud, but it is the most powerful thing that has ever happened to your heart in this life. But it is lasting, a foundation that is being built one small and honest choice at a time in the quiet of your soul. It isn't perfect and it doesn't need to be, because its reality is more beautiful than perfection could ever be in the world. But it is real. You are becoming a person who is no longer owned by their past or their old patterns of behavior. You're changing in ways that will stay with you forever, as your roots go deeper into the truth of who you were always meant to be. You are changing even now in the silence of this moment, as you allow the light to do its deep and holy work within. You are changing even here in the waiting, as you learn that you are already right where you need to be in your story. In this very moment, you are becoming new, and it is a beautiful thing to watch you grow into your own peace. Now the whole world feels different to walk through, because the heavy weights have finally been lifted from your tired heart. The struggle is not gone completely, but the noise has finally settled down, allowing you to find your footing in the middle of the room. But it is manageable now as you feel a new and calm flow, moving through the hours of your day with a quiet confidence. You finally understand the pattern that used to trap you so easily, and that deep awareness has given you back your internal power. Instead of fearing the return of the old feelings, you stand your ground and meet them with a very quiet and steady spirit. You see the struggle for what it truly is, a shadow without substance, and you refuse to let it steal your peace any longer. Instead of being controlled by the chaos around you, you choose to exist in a balanced and peaceful environment of your own making. You feel steady and grounded in the middle of the storm, knowing that your foundation is now built on something that cannot be shaken. Even when the old feelings come back to your door, you maintain a stable presence that remains completely unchanged by the noise. Because now you know the truth about your journey, And that simple truth has finally set you free from the prison of your own past. You realize that the Jesus light is gently present with you, and that His love is what defines you, not the mistakes you made. It's just something passing through your life like a cloud in the sky, and there is a deep inner reassurance that you are safe. And that simple realization changes everything for your soul. As you settle into a full and complete sense of quiet and lasting calm. You feel a peace in the deepest parts of your heart, a rest that stays with you even when the world around you is moving fast. Not because the struggle is gone, but because you have found a gentle openness to let the light shine into every corner of your life. But because you're not afraid of it anymore, you have a calm clarity that sees the path ahead and knows it is safe. That's real freedom, the ability to walk in full balance, without the constant fear of falling back into the same old holes in the road. It is not about control or power, but about a steady calm that comes from knowing who you are today in the quiet. It is about understanding the flow of grace in your life and letting it carry you forward into the beauty of this new season. And acceptance is the final piece of the puzzle today. As you look out at a calm horizon and finally welcome the coming rest home, you don't go back to the same struggles because you failed at life. You go back because your soul is ready for a deeper healing. You go back because something deeper still needs your gentle attention, and because there is still a hidden gift of wisdom waiting there. And every single time you face a struggle again in the quiet, you have a fresh chance to understand your own heart even better. You have a chance to understand the lesson better than you ever have before, and to realize that you are much stronger than you used to be. You have a chance to respond differently than you ever thought possible, and to prove that the old patterns no longer own your future. That is how real and permanent change actually happens in a life. Not in a single moment, but in the steady rhythm of a soul turning home. It doesn't happen in one dramatic moment of victory, but over time, in the quiet and honest choices of 1,000 ordinary days. You are moving forward even when you feel like you are stuck, and the progress you are making is more real than you can imagine. And that simple recognition of your own growth is enough for today. So just rest in the knowledge that you are finally being made new. You are exactly where you need to be in the middle of your story, and the end is going to be more beautiful than you can dream.